All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is Adam Chambliss with Urjanet. Thank you to everyone for joining the webinar today. We've scheduled the webinar for an hour. The presentations should take about 45 minutes, but we'll save 15 minutes at the end for any questions that anyone has. Please submit all of your questions through the chat function of the GoToWebinar control panel. You should see it at the bottom of the control panel there, and you can submit questions throughout the presentation, and we'll make sure that we aggregate those and answer as many as we can at the end of the presentation. If we don't have enough time at the end to get to everyone's questions, we're happy to send out some of the questions and answers directly after the call. As a reminder, we will be sending the recording out next week, so be on the lookout for that. I want to briefly go over the agenda with everyone. Today we'll be talking about how to make sense of your facility data. Data is at the core of what many energy and facility managers do, but you need the right tools to understand what it's telling you, from choosing the right BI tools to accessing accurate and complete data, to visualization and presentation. We're here today to help you understand how to get the most out of your building data. So brief agenda overview. We'll have a few introductions. I'll have a couple of my colleagues introduce themselves here in just a moment. We're going to talk a little bit about choosing the right business intelligence tools. Also, super important topic, sourcing the right data for those tools. And then my colleagues are going to share a couple of case studies to give you some real world examples of this in practice. And then once again, we'll save time at the end for a question and answer portion for all the questions that y'all are submitting throughout the chat function here. As I just mentioned, I've got a couple of colleagues joining me from other organizations on the call. Again, this is Adam Chambliss. I'm Director of Account Management at Urjanet. But Brian and Priscilla, would you like to take a moment to introduce yourselves to the audience here?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it. My name is Brian Lillard. I'm the Vice President with TDIndustries. And thanks to everyone who's attending the call. I appreciate the opportunity to present today. I am the VP of Facility Management with TD and that division of our company. I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but we provide on-site facility management services to our clients. I've got 30 years of experience in the real estate and facilities space, crossing functions from finance to management to development. And the bulk of my career has been in the outsourcing of facility services. I focus on providing value-added solutions and innovative solutions to our clients, essentially to allow them to focus on their core business.
And this is Priscilla Kakeritz. I'm the CEO of EnergyPrint. We've been an Urjanet partner for several years, as well as a business partner with TDIndustries. We provide full utility data services for companies like TDIndustries who need a service provider to gather the data, whether it's automated or even manual request, manual entry, and then to actually turn that data into useful information via insights and analytics. I've been in the industry working with utility data for over 10 years, and going to talk a little bit today about the emergence of business intelligence tools and how we're continuing to find even more fun ways to slice and dice utility data.
That's great, guys. Thanks for introducing yourselves to the group. With us having 3 different organizations on the call, we thought it would be prudent for the audience to learn a little bit more about each one of our organizations. Brian, do you want to tell the group a little bit more and a little deeper facts about TDIndustries?
Sure, thanks. TD is a company that's been in business since the late 40s, 73 years. We employ 2,600 partners. We call them partners because we're an employee-owned company. So we all own, well, everyone that participates in the plan owns a piece of the business. We like to say that we offer life cycle solutions to our customers. And what that means is we can provide services including the engineering of facilities, the construction of facilities, operating the facilities on a day-to-day basis, which is what my group does, as well as maintain the facilities ongoing. We are primarily a Southwest company based out of Dallas. We have offices across Texas as well as Arizona, and we have an office in Denver as well. So as far as our service lines and what we offer to our customers, I talked a little bit about what my division does, facilities management. Again, we provide the on-site day-to-day services to manage and maintain facilities for our customers. We operate within the corporate space, the healthcare space, and the educational space, including higher ed as well as K through 12. And we're going to talk about one of our K through 12 customers today. Some of the customers that we service in the facilities group include American Airlines and Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Our mechanical construction group, we work on high-profile projects. Some of the ones you might recognize would be AT&T Stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and we're in the process of constructing the global new home of the Texas Rangers, Globe Life Field here in Arlington, Texas. But we also do quite a bit of work in the corporate space. Did a large project for Liberty Mutual here in North Texas last year, data centers as well as healthcare. Another division of ours is the specialized piping group. We work with semiconductor companies, the medical field, food and beverage. That's one of the lines of our business I don't completely understand. It's pretty technical, but if you know about clean rooms, that's where a lot of the work does or goes on for that team. And clients that we work with there include Texas Instruments, Samsung, and Finisar. And then our day-to-day maintenance, truck-based maintenance crew is what we call our service division. And those folks are doing planned maintenance for customers, equipment upgrades, as well as reactive work to make repairs, which they're really busy this time of the year, especially with the heat that we've been having across the country. And the great thing about that part of our business is that they're able to support the other three lines of business. There have been quite a number of times where we've had emergencies on our facility management accounts where we've needed to pull in resources from our service group to support them.
That's great. Brian, thanks for the detail on TDIndustries, and I know we're all excited to hear a little bit more on the case studies later of some real-life examples of the services you provided and the value you've driven. Priscilla, do you want to talk to the group a little bit about EnergyPrint and what you offer?
Yeah, certainly. So EnergyPrint was founded in 2009. We're out of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and we work across pretty much across North America. Our mission is to make utility data useful for our clients. And our clients are service contractors and facility management companies like TDIndustries, as well as engineering companies, consulting companies, property managers, owners, and all types of building professionals. What EnergyPrint is really best at is capturing data regardless of how it needs to be gathered, even handling utilities who require manual requests. There's still municipalities around the US specifically where we have to call somebody on a certain day every month and have data faxed to us. And so we really do work to have that full utility data service capability. We partner with Urjanet on more than 50% of the monthly data that we manage, and that really helps us reserve our team of experts to deal with that hard stuff kind of data. Our services include 4 key areas. We do data services, which 100% of the data that our clients utilize is coming through EnergyPrint's validation and data stewardship, of which Urjanet is a big piece of. We have our own proprietary dashboard that does utility benchmarking, integrates with Energy Star. Today, we're going to talk a little about our analytics engine. So a couple years ago, we moved to add not just building our proprietary dashboard, but adding analytics that would allow us to deal with the custom requests and the more granular data needs that our clients had. And then ultimately, we are a services company. So a big differentiating factor for EnergyPrint is our people. And we have a robust client services team who get assigned to our clients. And so we're delivering more than just data, more than just a dashboard. We're really serving clients with insights and ultimately helping them know where and how to take action. Today, we're going to share our journey of adopting Tableau as our analytics tool and how we've used it to serve TDIndustries and ultimately Denton schools. So Adam, I'll let you talk about Urjanet.
Thanks, Priscilla. I appreciate all the background on Urjanet, and again, excited to hear a little bit more about Denton. So Urjanet is, at our core, a utility data provider. As a matter of fact, we are the utility data provider to the world. We've been around for almost a decade now, and we automate the collection of about 10 million utility bills per year. We work with energy services and software providers just like EnergyPrint. We are the solution behind the scenes that helps fuel their systems and offer great service to companies like TDIndustries and ultimately the end customers, whether it be municipalities, higher education, or Fortune 500 companies. Most of the Fortune 500, as well as largest cities and colleges in the United States, are having their data automated by Urjanet today. So Urjanet was a solution created as a response to a pretty specific question, and it's a question many of you out there may have asked yourselves before. Why is utility bill data so hard to acquire? Particularly when we all know how valuable utility data is. Getting the data faster and easier is crucial to companies serious about energy and conservation. So at Urjanet, we automatically aggregate the data you need from a constantly growing network of over 6,000 different utility providers. And it's important to note that the utility providers we connect with are worldwide. We make that data available to you and or your customers to meet their specific needs. So at Urjanet, we have global coverage. We specialize in intelligent aggregation. And again, we give you that easy access to the data that just didn't exist prior to Urjanet. I want to talk briefly about our relationship with EnergyPrint. I know Priscilla alluded to it on a previous slide. They're a fantastic partner of ours. So EnergyPrint is one of the companies that Urjanet's helped over the years. Back in 2014, EnergyPrint was managing over 10,000 utility accounts on a monthly basis. And they were struggling with some of those same items that I mentioned on the previous slide. Manually collecting all of that data and validating the utility bills was time consuming and frankly just not scalable for Priscilla and her team. It also led to slower delivery of the data analytics to the end customers. And so in Priscilla's quest for process improvement and always delivering better customer satisfaction for her customers, EnergyPrint partnered with Urjanet to automate their utility data collection. That automation led to faster processing and delivery without sacrificing data quality. Now Priscilla and her team can spend more time on analysis and results and the support that she talked about earlier that they deliver to their customers. They can also meet the growing volume of requests and clients that they're seeing quickly, easily, in a more scalable manner. And just as a note here, you can see on the slide specific items, specific data. EnergyPrint processes automated utility bills 300% faster than with manual data entry. So now that everyone understands who each party is, let's talk a little more about the advice that Priscilla and Brian have for the group here. So, Priscilla, would you like to talk a little bit about business intelligence and some of the specifics?
Yeah, I'd love to share our journey of adopting a business intelligence tool. It's interesting because Brian and I were at the Urjanet Spark conference in April, and we did a little mini session on this. And part of the birthing of this webinar was there was a lot of interest about how utility data and analytics come together to serve customers. And so I thought that I would share a little bit about our journey in selecting a BI tool for our business and how it plays into how we serve our customers. Brian's going to share some specifics and even some visuals of some of the unique things that we've created and how it's impacted how they serve Denton schools. So proprietary software is expensive and time consuming to build. And I'm sure there's plenty of technology companies on the call with us today. So you know that the planning time and the execution time to build things into proprietary applications is just a difficult process to go through. So we were in that same situation 3 years ago when our customers were asking for more and more custom reporting. And so we looked for a way to develop that custom reporting in a way that was flexible and could actually grow with us. And so the emergence of business intelligence tools really changed the way that we think about product development. As you're looking at this chart here of the top 10 business intelligence tool leaders, a lot of the big companies were coming out with BI tools, and then other companies came onto the market as well with new and unique ways to slice and dice data, to visualize data, and to quickly bring together multiple data sources in ways that were relevant for business. We did our research, and looking at tools like Microsoft Power BI, Click, and Tableau, we ultimately started to look at the customer satisfaction metrics that some of these companies already had. And Gartner had a couple of great resources for us in terms of identifying who customers were actually choosing from a business intelligence perspective. So we read the reviews, we evaluated companies, we looked at their current offering, and we also looked at what they were planning to build and how they were planning to evolve their overall environment. And you can see up here close to the top, both Tableau Desktop and the Tableau Desktop and Server versions were two of the highest from a customer satisfaction perspective. And ultimately, that's what we decided to go with, is we narrowed our search down. We looked at the 4 quadrants and where the different companies were excelling, and we really chose to go with a leader in choosing Tableau. For us, it was a decision that we made based on some very, very specific criteria that we needed for a business. And I found this great list of BI tool selection criteria. These are like the top 12 areas that companies, if you're looking for doing custom reporting, you're looking at adding analytics engines, it's typically some combination of these criteria that you're looking for your business in specific. We needed things that would give us flexibility, would help us with our design, would help us from a visualization perspective. And so because of our need for flexibility and the custom analysis, we wanted excellent visualization, we wanted data mining capability, we needed the analysis and the alerting capability for our clients, and we really found that Tableau had most of the strengths that we needed as a company. Choosing that right software when you're looking at business intelligence or any kind of analytics tools, especially that you're going to pair up like we are with already having a proprietary application, with using partners like Urjanet to bring data in, and even looking at bringing third-party data in from some of our clients to do some very dynamic reporting, we needed to have an environment that we were going to be able to trust would be here today, would be better tomorrow. And if any of you guys are familiar with a little company called Salesforce.com, they just bought Tableau here just in the last month or so, and so Tableau is going to become part of that environment as well. So for Salesforce users, Tableau will be a very, very good selection. So as you think about choosing the right software and analytics, it's really important to pick the right tool, but I think it's even more important to have good data to begin with. And I think that's where Urjanet helps us in our quest to make sure that we're delivering data to our clients that is 99% accurate or better. And so Adam, I'll let you talk about sourcing great data.
Thanks, Priscilla. Yeah, I totally agree. Using the right tool is extremely important, but it doesn't matter if you're not fueling it with the right data. And so what do we mean when we say the right data? What does that mean? So your facility data should really check 3 boxes. One, it should be accurate. The data from Urjanet is audited and not left up to human error. 2, the data should be complete. Your data should contain all the data points that you need. You don't have to make concessions, and you should be able to have global coverage. 3, your data should be up to date. Timeliness is key. Automated sources like Urjanet provide access to the most recent monthly bills. We also have the ability to get interval data in 15, 30, and 60-minute increments. We've partnered with EnergyPrint to make this data also available to their customers. So as I mentioned before, let's put this together and look at some real life examples. Let's talk about how business intelligence tools help you manage data, reduce time, and impress your clients all at the same time. Priscilla and Brian, I believe you have a couple of specific examples you can share with the group.
Sure, thanks, Adam. We're going to talk today about a case study involving the Denton Independent School District and give you a little bit of a background on what we call the Denton ISD. Denton is a town about 25 miles north of Dallas. It is primarily in the past has been a higher education center with 2 universities there. But as the Dallas-Fort Worth area has grown northward, it's now becoming a suburb of the Dallas area. And in fact, it's one of the fastest growing areas in the state. And so that in turn means the school district is one of the fastest growing. The school district itself includes approximately 45 buildings and growing. They've on average added about 3 new facilities a year. The facility portfolio is pretty diverse. The new buildings that are just been constructed, as well as some older ones from as far back as the 1940s. Another unique thing about the school district is its size. It covers 180 square miles of property, and so it's a very diverse school district as far as size is concerned. TDIndustries has been a partner with the school district for about 20 years. We provide them with facilities management services where we have an on-site team that handles the day-to-day operations. We also support them for their building controls systems. And because we want to make sure that we're adding value to our customers, we also handle energy management for them. And in our world, that is the value add. So we want to prove that the operations and maintenance that we provide to them actually are producing results for them. So, we decided we would do energy management for Denton ISD quite a number of years ago, and then we kind of had to figure out actually how to do it, and that led to some key challenges. I talked about the size, the geographic size of the school district, but what that also leads to is 10 different utility providers. And some are large, national type companies, and others are literally mom and pops. And so the challenge we ran into was that the client and us were spending an inordinate amount of time just corralling and gathering data. And sometimes we weren't even getting the data in a timely manner. Essentially, it was a full-time job to get the data put together, and even then there was a large backlog because of the manual entry that was involved. So we weren't even able to analyze the data at that point. So we really needed a better solution, and that's the time where we came across EnergyPrint and decided to partner with them. So they were able to streamline the data process. So the time that we spent, corralling that data now is automatic to us. And now we're able to leverage that time into analyzing the data. And even then, we were spending a ton of time just trying to figure out what the data meant and researching it and putting together reports and graphs and being able to, provide our customer with information that they could take action on. And so we were really challenged with that. And the great thing about partnering with EnergyPrint is that they were able to provide us with that business intelligence solution that now gives us actionable data that we can work off of on a day-to-day basis, as well as, and we'll talk about this a little later, as well as reporting to the customer. So some of the business, go ahead. I'm sorry, Priscilla.
That's all right. The great thing about using Tableau and the business intelligence system that we had adopted is that TD had a couple of different needs. They had a need not just to get the data and use our dashboard to do some basic benchmarking, but the second piece of time that you guys were really spending was in the analysis, trying to look across every utility type every month, looking for the outliers. And so a big piece of what we incorporated was this dynamic analysis capability so that you guys could use administrative labor to do the quick sorts and then have the engineers stay focused on the outliers and the opportunities.
That's exactly right. So now we're able to quickly look at information that's provided us through EnergyPrint and take action and show successes and opportunities.
So we love the quote that Brandon, who works on this project, says, before Insights Architect, which is what we call our Tableau integration of our customer reporting, our engineers spent countless hours every month sifting through page after page of data. Now, not only do we save our high value resources, we help our client make better, more impactful decisions that boost their bottom line. So having solved the internal resource issue, we then turned our attention to helping TD figure out how to deliver this information to the Denton Independent School District School Board twice a year. So Brian, share that experience, because it's a big presentation that you guys do, and it's a big piece of the value, I think, when you guys come and actually prove the results of your great work.
Yeah, that's so right, because as I've said before, we've got to be able to provide value to our customer and let them focus on what they do best, and in this case, that's educating students. And so every 6 months, we present to the school board the results of what we've been doing for them, and we provide them with a report card that shows them exactly where we stand from an energy perspective. The unique thing about the school board is it's very diverse, and this may not be unique. I say that it may not be unique to Denton. It may be all school boards, but it includes educators, it includes doctors, it includes bankers, and so folks that come from a wide breadth of backgrounds, and they require simple and easy to digest information. And so the EnergyPrint reporting that we get really helps do that. So this is just an example of one of the reports, and I love this report because it very quickly provides the school board with a snapshot of where they stand from an energy usage standpoint. And it's also a great story to tell, because if you look at it, it shows the school district's square footage continuing to increase year over year. But the second line very graphically shows that the total utility cost has gone down. So while usage and square footage has gone up, the cost has gone down. And this is just a snapshot we're able to provide to the board and show the success of the energy management program. This next slide shows a district-wide year-over-year comparison of electric and gas usage within the district. One of the neat things that EnergyPrint provides to us is the weather normalized consumption. And that's very important for anybody in North Texas. Our weather can one day be freezing and the next day be 90 degrees. So to have some way to digest the information and normalize it is key. And so the fact that EnergyPrint can provide this information to us allows the school district to really understand where we stand despite, very graphic changes in the weather. This slide here shows how we can filter and sort the data and bring it down to the school level. And so that in that way, we're able to show the opportunities and the successes that we've had in the program. It also very graphically shows outliers and situations where there might be problems. If you look at this particular slide, the Rodriguez Middle School shows a dramatic increase in electrical usage in a particular month. Well, we were able to do some analysis into that and found that there were some issues within the building control system in that building and fix it so that it was no longer an impact on that school. And it was just 1 month versus something that could have gone on for multiple months. So this is a great slide that we're able to show the school board where we're really having an impact through our energy management program. And we couldn't do something like this without the tools that EnergyPrint and Urjanet provide to us.
So Brian, you talked about the kind of the diversity on that school board. When you guys are going to talk about energy, with that board, what is their reaction? What was their reaction when you guys used to do this work manually and put that report together? And how has that changed and evolved as we've gotten to these, nice, pretty pictures to tell a good story?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I wish I could say that, before partnering with your firm, we had the same reaction as we do today. It was much more muted. And, there was a lot of glasses being raised as far as eyeglasses, trying to see the data, trying to understand it, lots more questions. The last meeting I went to, our section maybe lasted 15 minutes, and previously it could extend beyond that. So all of those challenges led to the next meeting having the same questions asked over and over because the information wasn't presented in such a way that it was impactful to them. So now when we make presentations, they're much more aware of where we were the previous month, where we are the previous board meeting, where we are today, and they're able to understand and help make decisions. And one of the things I recall from the last meeting was talking about the savings that the school district had realized over the last 6 months. And if I remember correctly, it equated to the two teachers. So the school district was able to save enough money to go out and hire 2 new teachers. And so without the presentation that we were able to provide them, we couldn't necessarily get that point across to them. And so that really proves to them the value that we're providing, as well as the fact that they're now able to use those dollars on what's most important to them, and that's educating students.
Well, and I love your quote as well, just about how our analytics allow you guys to proactively manage the client's utility spend. And for education, that is so important because it is every extra dollar that they spend on facilities or energy is less money for the classroom. So I know you guys have done amazing work with Denton, and they continue to be a great client, and we look forward to continuing to improve upon how we can help you guys have that conversation with them on a regular basis.
Well,
so Adam,
we do too.
I think, go ahead, Brian.
Just saying, we do too. We appreciate the partnership with both EnergyPrint and Urjanet, and it's really been impactful for us and our client.
Brian, Priscilla, thanks so much for sharing this specific story, as well as an overview of some items that the audience can find valuable on reporting, as well as just best practices in general. I wanted to shift gears here at the end of our session and go through some questions that we've received through the GoToWebinar chat function. Again, if there's any questions that you didn't have a chance to ask during the session, feel free to ask now, and we'll try to get to those here in the last few minutes that we have. But I'll read off some of the questions we've gotten already. And Brian and Priscilla, I'll try to direct to the appropriate party, but feel free to jump in with an answer if I routed to the wrong one. So first question I have here is, why did Denton School District choose to outsource their facilities function? Brian, this may be an appropriate question for you. Would you like to field that one?
Yeah, and that's a great question because, if you think about a lot of school districts, they do a lot of their work in-house, and Denton has some very forward-thinking leaders within their organization, and they really understood the idea that they're in the business of educating students, number one, and number two, they understood that they needed to have high-performing buildings to support that educational function. And so they knew that they didn't have the internal resources to do the best job possible for that. And so, it was a process that they went through, and they continue to go through today. And I think us as a company, TD, we have the resources and support, and the best practices, and all we do is facilities work. And so we're able to support them and allow them to focus on what they do best, and that's educating students.
No, that makes sense. Not just for Denton, but other organizations to focus on their core competency and any area that is important to them, but they may not have significant resources internally or expertise to handle for them to outsource it. That's a common trend across multiple industries and a lot of different organizations. That makes a lot of sense, Brian. So another question I have here, what did TDI do to help the school district reduce energy usage? So again, that's probably one directed at you, Brian. I promise I've got a couple for Priscilla here that are coming in, but Brian, if you could shed some light on that, that would be great.
Yeah, that's another good question. So we've got a couple ways we've been able to do that. Number one, when you think back to the slide that talks about TD being a life cycle facilities company, one of the things we do is help Denton when they construct or renovate new schools is to choose the right equipment to install in those schools. So the most energy efficient equipment that they can install to help reduce energy usage on the day-to-day basis. And so that might be geothermal systems. Now we're looking at variable refrigerant flow systems, all designed to reduce their energy usage. And so that's the first piece. The second piece is to constantly monitor those systems to make sure they're running correctly, to maintain them in a way that helps them to run most efficiently, and then to look for those anomalies. When you've got 45 buildings, things happen. There's students in the buildings, there's teachers in the building, there's activities that go on all day, and sometimes schedules get changed, and sometimes thermostats get adjusted, and so we've got to keep an eye on that at that level and make sure that we're maintaining the right schedules within the buildings, and that they're only being cooled or lights are only staying on when they need to be.
Great. No, that makes sense. There's a lot of different items you can look at to reduce energy usage, and it sounds like one of the great things about TDIndustries is you cover a lot of those bases. I know we talked about it earlier in the presentation, but specific to Denton, it looks like you were checking multiple boxes and ways to save energy usage. So that's great, Brian. Thanks for that detail. The next one we have is for Priscilla, on the EnergyPrint side. The question asks, has it been easy to integrate Tableau into EnergyPrint?
Well, I don't know that anything in the software world is particularly easy, but once we had selected Tableau, um, the biggest obstacle to bringing on a business intelligence platform is just the learning curve and determining, which of your staff are going to gain expertise, how to take them through training. It's a lot of trial by fire and evolution. TD was actually, I believe, our very first client when we were trying to solve this reporting need, especially for the board report. So they got to be one of our guinea pigs, and we've improved as we go through each cycle to make the reporting and the tools better. But yeah, the biggest challenge is just making sure that you've got the right people to use the tools, and then just constantly looking at the integration of the data and technology to make it as seamless as possible.
Got it. Yeah, I understand that perspective, that the word easy is a relative one, right? That depending on who you ask and who the one was that actually did the work, you may get different answers, but it sounds like the expertise that you guys have in-house made it as pain-free as possible. Priscilla, I do have another question that I believe would be appropriate for you. Can you bring other data sets like occupancy or production metrics into Tableau alongside utility data?
Yeah, so obviously, our first and primary focus is getting that clean, accurate utility data in, and then the building criteria. But we definitely can bring in other data. We do some comparison and correlation to CBEX data. We bring in Energy Star data, which we already integrate with. But we also have clients who are looking in the healthcare industry at bed counts, or for schools, and we haven't done this for Denton yet, but looking at student head count per building, or looking at other business metrics that correlate well and normalize well to help understand, are there other things besides energy or weather that are impacting the buildings, and in what can be done to help improve the building to deal with a high level of occupancy, or or a lower level of service, maybe in a retail location or something like that. So yeah, it's fun to work with other data sets, and it's really just a matter of working with our customers to make sure we get data that is as good as possible and relevant from a correlation perspective, because if they're going to make business decisions with it, we want to make sure that the data makes sense and that it actually is something that they should be using to make, especially financial decisions.
No, that makes sense. And your note about Energy Star is especially interesting. As I'm looking through the questions, it appears we had actually three questions come up specific to integrating the data into Energy Star. So that's great to know for everyone out there, for whomever these questions may be coming from, that Priscilla and the team over at EnergyPrint can help get that data into Energy Star. Another question here that might be directed both at myself and Priscilla, kind of a two-part answer, but the question asks, how do you ensure that the data you receive or use is correct? So I'll handle the first part of the question, because Urjanet is fueling a lot of the data that goes to EnergyPrint, so we have our own checks and balances and audit system, but I also know that Priscilla and her team have theirs. So we'll start with Urjanet's because it's the first in the process here. So at Urjanet, the first thing to note that's really important is that we are getting the data directly from the utility provider and directly from their online portals. So this means that everything that we're doing is being done digitally and being done automatically to ensure that data accuracy is as high as it could possibly be. What we are reporting to EnergyPrint is exactly the data that is coming from the online bill itself. To ensure that, we have over 150 different audits that are being done on the data, and that's even before we deliver it to EnergyPrint, who then goes through an audit system of their own. Priscilla, if you don't mind, could you share with the audience what auditing looks like on your end to make sure that, per the question, the data that the end customer like Denton is receiving is correct?
Yeah, so the great thing is when we bring data in from Urjanet, we are pretty confident in its accuracy and completeness. The big thing for us is mapping data. So utilities are constantly adding new line items, new fees, new taxes, new other charges. And so every time we have a bill come in, whether it's coming through Urjanet from an automated source or whether it's a manual bill, we have to have the expertise in-house to know what is it and where does it go and how should it be accounted for when we're doing reporting for clients. So first and foremost for us, it's having good templates and a good understanding. Today, we work with over 1,000 utility companies and manage over 4,000 templates. And so just that there's no one-to-one ratio with utility companies today with that data coming in. And a lot of that we see on the manual data that we have to do with the utilities, that they don't have automation, they don't have this information available on their website. And so dealing with the small co-ops, municipalities that haven't moved into newer systems is especially hard, because when you're getting faxed information, faxes are clearer now than they used to be, but that still leaves a lot to be desired in making sure that we get all the data, we get everything complete. So we work really hard, especially on the manual data, of doing some verification as that data is being entered in. We tabulate and compare amounts and the different line items to the totals to make sure that everything jives. So as the bill gets entered, it's getting added up in the system against the template and making sure that the data is right. And then after the data is in our system, we continue to do and query the data for looking for anomalies. So similar to us looking for anomalies for our customers, we're looking for anomalies in the data. And then it's human intervention. It's actually having people who go and pull up the actual bill, look at the actual data, make sure it's correct and accurate to the bill. So it can be quite a process to get to that point that we can commit to that 99% accuracy or better in our data standards.
Yeah, great. I knew there were a number of different things that you were doing on your end to help ensure the data was accurate, because again, there's not all the data coming to you comes from Urjanet. There's those small municipalities that even we can't get to. So it's always great to share what the method you're using to have a checks and balances system. Another question that just came in a moment ago. This one's interesting. So after several years of energy analysis using monthly utility bills, I've heard that many of the savings are found. Are there any deeper analyses that you do with other forms of data? So Brian and Priscilla, maybe you can answer this. I can share somewhat of an anecdotal story I've heard from a partner before, but I think that is something that occurs occasionally, that you start doing deep energy analysis, and the longer that analysis runs, potentially you fix some of the issues, and so those savings are found. But what I have heard of some organizations doing, and then this story even came up with a municipality in the Southwest. I won't share which. That probably wouldn't be appropriate, but large city in the Southwest, that they were working under the assumption that they had found all the energy savings that existed by working through one of our partners for almost 5 years. And the partner extended the opportunity with them to not just look at the monthly utility bills, but for some of the utility providers that post that daily data online that comes in 15, 30, or 60-minute increments, to be able to analyze those results for them as well. And it was astonishing what they were able to find by looking at more frequent data sets, scaling it down to 15 minutes in some cases. They were able to find that within some of their buildings, if they waited just an hour later in the morning to turn their chillers on, that they would eventually, over the course of a few years, save over $1 million in energy savings. And so that story always makes me laugh, because the customer was so sure that all the energy savings had been found. And it was great that our partner was able to work with them to dig one level deeper and uncover a deeper level of data and savings that they wouldn't have existed. So Brian and or Priscilla, I don't know if you have any experience with interval data or with other forms of data that you could be analyzing other than the monthly bills to dig that level deeper and find additional savings over time.
Yeah, well, I can start, and then Brian, you can certainly add on what other things maybe your team is doing internally. So from a benchmarking and monitoring perspective, I get that question often, and we face it. Well, we've been doing this for 5 years. We found all of our savings. We're not sure that this continued investment is necessary or whatever. We found some really interesting things, especially with buildings where improvements were made and then they stopped paying attention. We've learned things like a new control system or controls optimization is a great way to bring a building into line and usually has some pretty significant savings. We often see 15 to 20% savings for a building going through one of those projects. On the same line of thinking, though, if we are not monitoring and making sure that that stays in place, we also see those same buildings save 20% and then over the next 18 months bleed 10% of that savings because some of it wasn't maintained. So we do look at utility bill monitoring as a really low cost, easy way to stay level with your plans and your projects. I know that's what we do with Denton. We do have clients who are asking about interval data. We know that Urjanet has been working on making more interval data files available. And we've been testing some things with some of our clients now where we might point out an anomaly and they want to go the next level deeper. And so we're looking at where it's available, how we can continue to increase our scope of services and serve our clients, maybe not by doing all the analysis, but by getting them the data so that their engineering resources or specialists internally can dissect that data to better scope what the problem is and how they can address it. Brian, I'm not sure what all you guys do from a digging deeper perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered a lot of it. I think the key is that I don't think you're ever done. A lot of times folks will promise you we'll come in and optimize your facility and you'll pay them a fee and then they leave and you get results, like Priscilla said, for a couple months, and the next thing you know, those results have gone away. So, having real-time information as best as possible is really critical, as well as the things I talked about before too. In a school district, there's lots of things going on a day-to-day basis. Things are getting changed constantly. And so you've got to constantly be monitoring the systems to make sure that they're performing the way you want them to. And then a couple other things too I'd like to point out. Number one, benchmarking. You guys talked about Energy Star earlier, and Energy Star is such a great tool because it allows you to benchmark against all types of facilities and really see how you could possibly be performing. I know whether it's healthcare, education, a lot of times people tell me, well, I benchmark against the school district next door or the hospital across town. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that that facility is performing best. But kind of back to the day-to-day, it's also important to maintain your facility. So you talk about running the chillers according to a particular schedule, but if those chillers aren't maintained well and maintained regularly, then they're not going to perform as well as they should and provide the energy savings opportunities that they could if they were maintained correctly. So that's another thing that we do is that our program with Denton ISD includes regular preventive maintenance on their equipment. So, by doing that, we know that it's going to perform the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, that makes sense. In both of your comments about kind of backsliding from a energy efficiency or building fitness standpoint really resonated. I had to even mute my line as I started to laugh to myself. I thought about my own personal scenarios where at the beginning of every year I get super serious about being in shape and eating right and working out, and I see a ton of change, and then somehow just find a way to stop around March or April of every year and lose those advancements right back. And so I can see the exact same thing occurring with building performance and energy management. So that makes a lot of sense, at least to me, as it relates to a personal item. But well, Brian and Priscilla, we're up against time here, and I just want to take a second and thank you both again for joining me for the webinar here today. A reminder for everybody on the call, look for the recording to come next week to the email that you supplied when you registered for the webinar. If you still have further questions, please reach out to each of us directly at the links provided under our faces and names on this slide. So you can see Brian's information, Priscilla, as well as Urjanet. We all have contact pages there on our websites that you should feel free to submit your questions related to the webinar or anything else that we weren't able to cover today. So again, I want to thank everyone who registered and attended. Thank you for your attendance as well as the questions that we received. They always help drive the conversation and get deeper. And again, thanks so much, Brian and Priscilla, for joining us today and for sharing these stories. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks, Priscilla.
Yes, thank you.